I'm Phil Bolton with the Global Atlanta News Service, and I'm with Joe Flynn, CEO of the Water Industry Alliance in Australia. Welcome, Joe.
G'day, Phil.
Tell us about what you feel are Australia's strengths and weaknesses in dealing with the water crisis.
Well, the weaknesses I can relate to America's. We're a country of 7 states that have united to form a federal country, and within those states we haven't managed between those states we haven't managed our rivers well. We've competed for the state's best interest, not for the holistic best interest of the river, and that's seen a appalling, sad death of our largest river. Runs for 2,400 miles. That is dead, and that is by far and away our biggest mistake. We've also, sadly, we allocated water at a time where we were experiencing above average rainfall. We were too generous in allocating our water, and now that we've moved back into a drying climate compounded by climate change shifts, we're using way too much water. What's come out of that, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We've recognised the need for action. That's been really hastened by a much greater awareness of climate change at a community, business and political level. And we really have driven some significant responses to climate change at the government policy level, at the community level, and at the technology, the business innovation that it's spurred.
Has this been over the last dozen years? What's the time frame?
Well, the state that I live in, South Australia, is the driest state and the world's driest inhabited continent. So we've been water smart we've always had to be water smart. But that water smart innovation has really had to accelerate in the last 10 to 15 years, and then the government policy response has had to really step up just in the last 5 years. So there's been a long-term awareness of water, which has been healthy, and then the climate change and then the dramatic shift in climate in the last 5 years has really got our politicians' attention, and that's delivered some dramatic innovations in government policy.
In view of the stresses that the Southeast here in the United States has experienced, if someone would like to be exposed to what the innovations in Australia are for dealing with these problems, what can they do? Are there conferences that they can go to? Are there ways that they can tap into your evolving expertise?
There's 2 routes I'd suggest, Phil. One is Australia's largest water conference and water exhibition occurs in March of every year. That's called Ozwater. If you were to Google Ozwater, that's Ozwater 09, you'd find the conference details. And that gives a tremendous policy, business, technology overview into what's going on in Australia. And just to emphasise the benefit, especially in times of economic downturn, I think the businesses that get smart with this stuff, the government policy, the cities, the states that get smart with this, really can create a competitive advantage. They can create cost reductions, they can see profits lift. So especially in these tough economic times, I would believe there's a reason why someone in Georgia could really use this sort of insight to their own benefit back here. The other route, so one route's Ozwater 09, the other route is we have a terrific organisation called IceWarm. Again, if you were to Google IceWarm, that would take you to them, and they're a great interface between policy and research. In Australia, we have a very robust academic research community that play a really valuable role in stimulating the public debates, stimulating the public imagination, and IceWarm delivers some great interfaces that bring in research and bring it into policy and allow each other to learn from each other. So whether your interest was at the more practical aspects, which I think could lead to the conference, or in the policy area, one of those 2 routes, Google IceWarm or Google Ozwater 09.
Tell us about the Water Industry Alliance. What is it?
We're a not-for-profit industry association, 240 member organisations, And it's quite unique because who it brings together is government and policy. It brings together academics and the research institutions, and then it brings together all of the private sector consulting, manufacturing, a lot of IT. So it really is a very broad water sector that we bring, and we encourage collaboration. And there is a degree of self-interest. It's about driving towards what it is that we can do to grow together. It's a great vehicle.